Hey there, everybody, and welcome back. For those of you that picked up a Nintendo Switch, whether it be the OLED, standard Switch, or the Lite recently, or maybe you've had one and you're just trying to find some great games that are free and easy to download from the Nintendo eShop, stay tuned. I'm going to be covering my top 5 picks in this video. Now, I do have a link in the description as well for my top 10 picks, with the top 5 are in that list as well, so feel free to go on over to that video if you're looking for more content, but I'm going to cover some of the more popular games out there now. Now, before we get started, as always, don't forget to like and subscribe and check out the channel for new content. All right, so to start this one out, I'm going to try to make the top pick one that you may not have heard of just yet. So we're going to go with Warframe for this one. So this is a pretty unique concept. So we're going to go ahead and skip through the loading screen and that primary menu that pops up. So again, this is a pretty unique concept here. So you have warframes, which are essentially like a loadout almost that you would see from other video games. However, instead of weapons, so instead of having two weapons and maybe two different sets of grenades as a loadout, you have the warframe, which is the different special abilities, so to speak. So I'll show you what those are when that menu loads up. Now, this one doesn't have as many menus and options as some of the other games we're going to cover, but it's a really unique concept. And the maps are fairly large, so it's not your traditional drop you in a multiplayer map, and you can skip the cinematic. So we'll hit B, and then you can hit A to skip. So we'll click this warframe here. So this one is called Mag. You'll see down here we have Pull, Magnetize, Polarize, and Crush. So those are the special abilities, so to speak. So then you just hit Y to confirm, and it's essentially going to drop us into the game. We'll hit B and A and refocus the camera. Now, I do want to note this seems to be the only game that the camera struggles to pick up and accurately choose colors. So it looks very blue in the screen. It's not as blue in real time, but again, all of the other games seem to be picked up by my camera pretty well. This one just seems to struggle. So if we run up, we're going to hold right bumper and we'll just hit B, and you'll see we use the pull on those two people, which effectively seems to knock them out. And this actually works on multiple people, so I've done it on, I guess, 3 or so at once. But this seems to be the part of the game where you're just practicing those maneuvers. And you'll notice when you hit B once, it jumps. B twice does this cool double jump. And then it tells us we're essentially going to this, what looks like a waypoint, so to speak. So you'll see it's a pretty decent sized map. The game's really responsive. You get some solid feedback in the Joy-Con controllers as far as vibrations when you're being attacked or being hit. And you can see it's got, again, some pretty cool features as far as like the different special abilities, and just overall gameplay seems pretty solid. So right now in the game, it's raining a little bit. And I don't want to spend too much time on this one, primarily because the camera seems to pick up a very, very blue color. But overall, I think that this is definitely a safer pick for, let's just say, that top slot in the top 5 games to play. So we'll go ahead and jump over to game number 2. All right, so coming in at spot number 2, although again, these are very, very close for these top 5, is going to be Apex Legends. So we're just going to go ahead and click start and give you a really quick example of the gameplay here. Now, I'm not trying to do too much again because these are all free games. So I have that video in the description of my top 10. All of those were able to download on a 256 gig micro SD card with no issues whatsoever. So I still have quite a bit of space left. So these are decent sized games. Honestly, there's a ton of gameplay for things that are just completely free. So we're going to close out of everything here. So we are going to go, you see you have this little cursor here, and then you have all of your menu options up at the top. We're just going to click on training real quick. And then you'll see up top, you just have to complete training to unlock different modes. So we're going to hit Y to say that we're ready. And we're just going to do something very, very quick here. So this drops you into the firing range. It's a pretty basic training setup. So you press certain buttons just to actually get to know the feel. And again, I'll leave the audio playing quietly in the background, but you'll see you have a checklist here of different things to press. So if you hold the left stick, you sprint, B will jump, and then crouch while sprinting. And then we'll just crouch, and we've completed all of those basic check-marked movements, so to speak. So this is the shooting range. When we get a little bit closer, you'll see essentially what's going to happen. So the idea here is you're just getting the supplies, you're going to pick up a couple of guns, and then kind of sample them out in this shooting range here. So it lets you interact with different things. So you'll see you can pick up grenades, health packs, different things like that. And then if we go to the other one, we should be able to find some different things, which I think we actually have to take everything in here first. And you just press Y to pick things up, although you should have the option to essentially change up your controls if you're interested. Now, if you want to throw, for example, a grenade, we can just click throw, or you can hold it and you'll see the red line showing you where it's essentially going to go. So pretty basic controls, nothing too much there. And you can see you have to use your health kit, and you also have to use the ordnance menu in order to get through the checkboxes. And then you have to swap grenades, I believe. So there's a couple of different things. So we'll swap grenades and we'll use this one instead. And you'll see the different types and kind of how they work. So graphics are pretty nice overall. I mean, I think that it has a really good feel. And I don't really have too many concerns. I mean, I feel like it's a solid feeling game. The controls and the feedback is great. So I feel like it has more of a real world feel than some of the other picks on this list. But again, it's all boiling down to personal preference. So you'll be able to play through the tutorial and then kind of go throughout the game yourself. But this secures spot number 2. Now let's go ahead and go to game number 3. All right, so coming in at slot number 3 is Rogue Company. And again, this is still a very competitive list. So based on personal preference and gameplay, this could be the number 1 pick for you personally. But all of these games, they have similar menus. So you have the menus across the top in many cases. So you'll see we can use the bumpers to go through the different menus here, and we'll just refocus. So you have the different rogues with different weapons, battle pass, profile, and shop, etc. And instead of having a cursor for this game, it just highlights the rectangles for the different menu options. So we're just going to click on Play Strikeout and drop straight into a multiplayer game. So this game is fresh off the download, so I haven't actually done a whole lot. I basically just downloaded it and played a couple sample multiplayer games. So we'll show you what that looks like. Your typical load time for actually finding a multiplayer match is probably going to be between 5 and 20 seconds or so. I'm sure that depends on a ton of factors, so the time could vary. And then when you find a multiplayer match, you have the map name, the sample picture of the map, a tip down here, which I believe the tips actually change after a certain period of time, and then your little loading text. So you'll see the tip either changed or just got smaller. So we're going to just wait on this map to load. One of the cool things I really, really like about this game is you start out by selecting your rogue, and it gives you about 40 seconds. So if we just choose the first option, and you can click Y to select, you'll see your teammates will essentially wait to pick theirs as well. So we'll just move that forward a little bit so you can see they're selecting them, and then we'll refocus the camera. So It basically just waits for everyone to select their rogue. I'm sure most people are aware. Some people on multiplayer are ready to go. Some people take their time or just are away. So when they pick all of their rogues, the part that I really like about the game is the intro. So it will do a quick walk-in where all of your specific rogues with your names will essentially show up. So you'll see these 4 rogues, and it'll do a close-up on each of them. So it should be coming up shortly. So here it is. So you'll see each of the 4 rogues. We will essentially go do a close-up on each of them, and that'll show you each of the players. And then they walk across the Rogue Company logo, and then the match essentially starts. So this is where you're going to drop in. So we're on a plane, and you're essentially just waiting for this door to open and this little barrier to drop, and then it'll drop you into the map. And then outside of that, it's a somewhat typical first-person shooter gameplay. So that door opens, you'll see the map, and then you just wait for this to open. When you jump off, you'll essentially fly straight down. If you land outside of the map, so for example, on top of a building, it will require you to jump back into the map, or it'll force you to effectively go inside the map. So your player will disappear and reappear in the map somewhere. So pretty traditional gameplay. You'll see you have your mini map up here, the different players up top. You can, using default controls, left trigger will allow you to focus or zoom, and then the right trigger is going to shoot. So we'll just do like a sample running out here and just kind of let you see what the gameplay looks like. So you'll see we essentially shot that person. They're down. You can pick up their weapon. You have the option to shoot some more people and just kind of continue doing a pretty traditional multiplayer. So it's pretty self-explanatory, and it's a pretty fun game. You'll see that when people are shooting, the enemies will appear as red dots up there, and you can see the graphics are great. The gameplay is solid. I feel like this is a great game, so I think it's easily competing with the other 2 that we previously discussed. But this secured spot 3 on the list. Now let's go ahead and jump into game number 4. Now, coming in at spot number 4 is going to be Asphalt Legends 9. So this is also going to be the game to essentially break the cycle of first-person shooters and get us into more of a racing style game. So we'll have the music as we have had it playing in the background a little bit. Now we're just going to load the game and choose all of the default options. I'm pretty sure this is just going to land us into the tutorial. So you'll see you have all the different menu options, the shop where you can customize cars, but we're just going to jump into the default everything by pressing A. So we're going to jump into traditional game. It's somewhat typical steering. So right trigger is going to be gas. Left trigger, it says it's the brake, but I've also noticed if you hold it, it looks like it puts you in reverse. That does change the camera angles for you. So if you hold the left trigger, it will switch the camera to look in the opposite direction. So what we're going to do is just give you a sample of the gameplay here. So we'll wait. You're just going to hold right trigger before it starts to push the gas. Now, I haven't played this game a ton, but I really like the graphics. So when you're coming up on the corner, it'll show you the tutorial. So left stick and the left trigger will allow you to drift. So we'll just, if you just press that, it'll let you drift a little bit. So what we'll do is we'll do that one more time. And again, it's just, I really like how the graphics are set up. If you run into things, you can get water on the screen, which is cool. The drifting is really fun, and the graphics, the Switch just handles this very, very well. So whether you're playing on the light, the OLED, or the traditional, I just think that the graphics and the setup for this game is phenomenal, and it's very, very easy to play. So the steering just kind of makes sense for this console, at least in my opinion. And you'll see you can just kind of drift, run into whatever you want, and that's essentially the sample of that specific tutorial. So great option, definitely worth considering if you like more of those traditional racing style games, but I think that this is a great option and easily secures that 4th place. Now let's go ahead and finish up this video and find out what game took spot number 5. All right, so coming in at number 5, although again, this is a very, very close one, so feel free to check out the link in the description to see the top 10 video, which includes these and more. But I don't think it would be a Switch video game review if there wasn't at least one Pokemon game. So we're going to skip and show you what Pokemon Unite's all about. So you can consider this like a team game. It's almost like, I don't want to say soccer, probably closer to basketball, where as you can see, you're essentially scoring into these hoops. So you're battling other Pokemon and you're picking up energy, and then you take it to the goal and you're essentially scoring with that energy. So we'll refocus here and we'll just jump into a quick sample game just to show you what it's like. Now, I don't think this is going to get you the same gameplay or type of game as the actual paid versions, but again, for a free game, it's a great deal. So we're just going to click on Unite Battle. When you load the game for the first time, you have the option to customize your trainer. We're just going to choose default everything and just show you what the game looks like. So you'll see matchmaking successful. When you hit ready, it just waits on everyone else. And if everyone hits ready before the timer goes up, it jumps into the next screen. So we have a couple of options here. You can see there's a little bit of a delay, but not much. And you don't really notice that during the game. So we're going to choose Charizard and wait for everyone else. And then you also have the option if you're interested. So you'll see you can go through. I don't have any Hollowware right now, but you can choose that if you were interested and if you actually had it. But at this point, I'm just going with Charizard as is. And then we're basically just waiting on everyone else. So you'll see you have your timer up at the top. Start to finish, if you're launching this game from the loading screen, you'll probably get into a game within, I would say, 1.5 to 2.5 minutes, all things considered. But people in this game tend to be pretty quick to actually say that they're ready and choose and everything like that. So the next screen we should see, you'll see here essentially everyone that's playing. And then it'll show us the map from there and drop us into the game. So this is, again, really, really interesting. It's not the traditional like Pokemon style game with a storyline. It's more so a very unique combination of like a skill game and then somewhat of a traditional Pokemon style play. So you'll see we're in the match here. So you would press A, for example, to do a basic attack. And then down here, you'll see these loading bars that have other attacks, and you can learn more as you go and level up your Pokemon. So if you press A, let's just say if there's like a bot right here, so you'll see we picked up that energy. So now we will run over here and actually drop it into the goal, so to speak. And I won't play the full match here, just kind of wanted to walk you through what this looks like. So we're going to jump over here and we hold X and we drop it. And then you'll see the actual gameplay itself. So you can use, I don't know if you could see right there, but by clicking the right trigger and then clicking it again, it allowed me to use that second attack. So that would be the Flame Burst, as opposed to just your basic attack. So pretty cool game overall. And as you're losing that energy of your own, when you go into these, it essentially restores it. So that's what those little spots are for. And again, you're just basically walking up to people and you're going to use your basic attacks. So I'll hold the right trigger. I just used the Flame Burst again. It doesn't look much different, but as you pick up and learn new attacks, you can see, differences there. So that's really all that there is to this game. And like I said, it was a close pick for the 5th slot, but I didn't want to pick another first-person shooter and wanted to pick something that people would typically want to see in a Switch game review, which again would be Pokemon. So I hope this top 5 helped you, but if you feel like you had other options, maybe you think that there are other games that you would want to see, or maybe any questions that you have, drop them in the comment box below. But I'd love to hear what your top 5 are, and I'll see you all in the next video.